live without being scared. Attack those demons. If you have to be a Ghostbuster, have that little thing on your back and suck those bad boys up. Don't be, for real, don't be scared.
Hey guys, welcome to StoryVerse, a universe of diverse storytellers exploring authenticity, identity, and creativity. On today's episode, we will be talking with my dear friend Malakhi Eason. Malakhi, also known as Dr. Creative, is a leader, musician, and all-around creative. Through his work, he has created and curated diverse experiences, mentored youth, and connected us to the magical world of the arts. Stay tuned as we dive into overcoming adversity, pivoting paths, and learning to live out loud. All right, well, first and foremost, thank you for being here and for doing this. This is actually my very first episode of StoryVerse. So thank you. Yeah. And I'm just excited for you to be here. So if we could kick it off with you just telling us a little bit about you, who you are, and what you represent.
Cool. First, I want to say thank you, Mary, for allowing me to be the first person on your show. I remember when I first met you, I just said, this girl's a star, and I got to make sure we got to keep close because I don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for putting me a part of this process and being on this platform with you. I have nothing but respect for you and your hustle, girl. You are everything. But a little bit about me, right? So my name is Malakhi Eason, but I go by the name Dr. Creative. And I decided to go by that a long time ago because I feel like I'm just multi-talented and I do a lot of stuff. And I feel like people say, well, what do you do? I used to be like, oh, I'm a singer, I'm a this, I'm a that. I learned to say I'm a creative. And so I go by the name Dr. Creative because I think it includes all the things that I do. And I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. I lived all over the world, and I'm currently residing in New Haven, Connecticut, where I'm the Director of Programming and Community Impact for the International Festival of Arts and Ideas.
I love it. It's like you were saying, there's so many things that encompass who you are and what you do. But at the end of the day, it all goes back to like that creativity, being that like creative brain, and kind of like on that subject of being a hustler. You are someone who when I think of you, I think of a hustler because you do it all and you do it well.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when I first met you, you're like, yeah, I'm a music director. And, I'm a musician. I've done background singing and I do a hairdresser as well. So you do it all. And I think that that's amazing. Could you tell me a little bit about where that stems from, that hustler mentality, and how it shaped you over the years?
Okay, Mary, thanks for this question. This makes me have to think. Well, it's not really much thinking that I have to do. I just know it may get a little dark. So I'm born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm not going to give a whole long story because we have an hour to talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. But my mom was a crack addict, along with an alcoholic, along with a madam, which is a female pimp. And that's the life that I was exposed to growing up. And then being taken away from my mom, I always felt like I was without. Mm-hmm. So I seen my mom fight to get out of that situation. Once our kids were taken away, she changed, and she quickly changed that lifestyle of pimping and selling drugs and doing drugs to reverse all that and go into recovery. And I seen her hustling when we used to go visit her on weekends, or we had one-on-one visits with her. You can tell that she was really changing and pushing to get her kids back. So for me growing up, I grew up poor. I'll say poor because I was not middle class. Middle class would have been A-okay. But I grew up poor. And so we didn't have the resources to go out and buy new clothes. We didn't have the resources to go do hair. We didn't have resources to do any of those things. So we had to do it ourselves. We'll take old clothes and reinvent those bad boys. If I wanted a hairstyle, I'll look at it and figure out how I can do it. And I'll do my hairstyle with my sister, my brother, my mom. I started doing hair. And then I realized when I was 14, I can get a job. I got a job, and I held 2 jobs throughout my entire high school career because I loved money and I loved fashion, and I realized that the money was able to push me further in my goals. So it comes from upbringing of just like a whole bunch of craziness, but knowing I don't ever want to go back to that part. So I always want to have multiple sources of income and also be able to create myself, be creative in different aspects throughout my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I really connect with you on just having that experience of being in poverty and having your mom. My mom had a different experience, but it involved us being taken away from my mom. And that really does instill something in you that you're like, I just don't want to be here. I want to do whatever it is to like break out of this. And I think that honestly, that's what leads to that creativity, because you have to be creative in order to break out of that. And in order to really, it's a big way of being able to express yourself. So did you find that for you, that was like a big way for, or what led you to like music and the arts and all of that?
Well, yeah. So my mom is a singer. My grandmother, who I was being raised by, is a singer, very, very well-known singer. And I lived in the hood. And it was either be on the streets, be a part of a gang, sell drugs, or get shot, or find something to do, a Boys and Girls Club, or a church event, or something like that. And for me, I found myself thriving at church. I found myself thriving at any side programs that my teachers would refer me to. Now, my teachers was really good in elementary, middle, and high school. They always looked out for me, said, oh, there's this program that I think you should be in. It helped develop my creativity. I've done art, acting, singing, dancing, fashion. All the kind of things that I've done has come from the opportunities I had throughout growing up in school. And they started to mold. And I went to performing arts high school, and I realized like that singing and writing songs were a way for me to express all the pain that I've been through, right? And I also realized that it was a stress reliever and a strength of mine. And so being in high school at Boston Arts Academy in Boston, Massachusetts, was my first time ever being around anybody outside of being Black. And so the school was located in Fenway. I had my guard up. I wasn't talking to nobody. I had braids. I was like, yo, I don't care. I was a different person. What you see right now is not who I was. And I realized like, everybody's not out to get you.
Yeah.
Everybody's not out to hurt you. You have to be open and free enough for people to receive you. And once that clicked, life was great. My hustle really came in.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like having that background in, like you were talking about with the performing arts school, and you talked a lot about like opportunities that would come your way. And I think something that I really have always admired about you is just like this resiliency that you have about you, and like how unapologetic you are and showing up as yourself and your purpose. And you are someone who is just ready for any opportunity, whether it is like karaoke, let's go, or when you were running the Patti LaBelle concert, and she was like, hey, who wants to come up on stage? And let me just tell you, most people will be like shaking in their boots, like, no way am I going to go on stage and do this right now. I'm not going to mess up. But you were just, even if you were nervous, you were ready and you did it. So I would love to just like hear from you a little bit about like what you have done to just be prepared, be ready, and just be fearless in whatever it is that you do.
Well, I mean, nobody's perfect. And I think when you realize that, you are able to do more. I know that I'm going to fail. I know I'm going to jack up. To some people, that performance may have seemed, like you said, fearless and amazing, and like I was on stage. But in reality, I was nervous, and when I listened back to them, like, ooh, I could have done better. I could have made better choices than what I made. But Patti LaBelle knew me from some previous jobs I had singing background. And I told her, do not call me on stage. I am okay. And she said, I'm Patti LaBelle. You don't tell me what to do.
Absolutely.
So the theater, I was on the balcony on the side on a little thing up there. I didn't think she could even see me. She literally was like, Malachi? And I was sitting there, and my partner at the time was like, just go, just go. And so I went down there, and I was like, this is going to be bad because she sings extremely high and I'm a bass. But to go back to what I was saying, you know, I believe like you got to take chances, even when it comes down to programming. People do not know what is out there until you expose them to it. So take chances. Do your research though. Don't do all kinds of crazy stuff. But take chances, and majority of the time, that's what creates your brand. For me, my brand has always been stepping out on faith, going for it. It's going to land the way it needs to land. And that has always worked for me. Even working at Omaha Performing Arts, there's a lot of things that they probably would never have presented if it wasn't for my random thoughts and my random vision of what I could see happening in that space.
Yeah, I think that that's been really major. I feel like on your journey is you're someone who is like an outside of the box thinker, and you're just like, even with coming up with like Jazz on the Green, and most recently Imagine with the Arts and Ideas Festival. Is it Ideas and Arts? I don't want to say that wrong.
It's a title, okay, honey?
I don't want to get it wrong.
It is the International Festival of Arts and Ideas. And so that's what I work for now. And the theme this year was Imagine. And we was able to take away some information from 2020, bringing it into 2021, and imagine what life looks like after the pandemic, after being able to be back on the stage. And we talked about all that throughout, and all our programming had to do with Imagine. It was beautiful how it all came together. And I didn't create Jazz on the Green. I just helped elevate.
Help curate. Okay.
Yes. I don't want to be like, Malakhi, I did not create Jazz on the Green.
Yeah, my bad's the person who created it.
Right.
But it is important, the curation part as well, because you are the person or part of, you know, a group of people who ensures that the people that are on stage are representative of the community. And so I think, you know, that's really important. So for you, you know, being in programming, you really do shape the experiences and the events and what is on stage. So for you, what would you say, like, how important is it that what is put on stage is something that is very diverse and it's inclusive of the community?
Well, that's what some people go wrong. They program into their likes, and they program to what has been successful.
Yeah.
You get a bigger impact when you take the time to have lunch, breakfast, dinner, phone conversations, text messages with community leaders, with community members, with people who you have partnerships with, to see what is needed in the community. I'm new to New Haven. My biggest thing was not the programming part. I could do that in my sleep. It's who lives here? How can I get some numbers? Where y'all going out? Build those relationships. What's the tea about this position? Like, get all that stuff and then use that as a tool to help benefit the community. What the community needs, they scream so much what they need, but people who are in either my position or higher don't listen. They do what's best for either a board, donor, or what's gonna make the money. And at some point that has to stop, because you're not gonna make an impact on your community until you actually let the community do the programming and the curating.
Oh yeah.
I'm just a vessel. That's it.
An important vessel. So.
Come on now. I'll take that. I gotta lean into it.
Absolutely. What do you think or feel needs to be done so then, because obviously there's so many things. So I know there's not gonna, you know, there's no like blueprint for this, but you know, just like from your standpoint, from what you see day to day, what are the sort of things you feel could be implemented in order to have a more diverse and inclusive like programming and that sort?
Well, people's board and donor lists have to be diverse first. It comes from up top. And your staff has to be diverse. And there has to be trainings because people are ignorant to what it means to have diversity, what it means to have equality. People are ignorant, and it's not, we can't blame nobody for that, right? These conversations have been happening for a long time. It just so happened that now people are starting to pay attention.
Yeah.
So that's where it starts, right? And then moving forward, allowing the voices to be heard, like I said earlier, in the community, that's what leads to a more diverse programming. That's what leads to a strong team of people actually believing. I can sit here and be new to the organization and say, I want community this, and I want to see Black representation, Latino representation, all that, boom, boom, boom. And they're going to sit here looking at me like, all right, okay, we heard that all the time, but nothing changes. So you got to put some money behind where that mouth is. And so I think that that's how you start to create that change that's lasting, not just for a moment. And I'm trying to make sure that what we're doing at our organization is lasting and not just because it's a fad. Let's keep it real. Right now, it's a fad.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because remember, at one point in programming, it wasn't about diversity on stage. It wasn't about equality. It was about accessibility for people to get into the buildings, people to have ramps, and that was going crazy. And then all of a sudden we don't talk about that no more. But that's just as important, right?
Yeah.
Not cool. So I get serious about this stuff. I love this stuff.
No, I love your passion, because I think it's really easy for people to be just performative. And like you said, it's almost like the news. Like you can hear something in the news and like something very sad, something like 9/11, or even, things like George Floyd, and people were very obviously so upset about it. But eventually those sort of things fade into the background and people are like, who, what? And so, no, you're right. It's important that it isn't just something that we just like, all right, yep, we did that. All right, next.
Put it in our mission statement.
Right. Put it in your mission statement. Where is it? I don't see it. But except for that one person, we get, okay, all right, we got a one Black photographer. All right. That's good. We got a one concert. we did what we needed to do for the year.
Careful, Mary. Be careful.
I don't want, we can a little quick. But actually, I want to take it back a little bit to your work or your journey into being a background singer, just because I would love to hear a little bit more about that experience for you and kind of how, what led you there.
Okay, that's good. Nobody ever talks about this, so thank you, Mary, for asking questions. So I've been, of course, background singing starts in church for me, singing in choirs, and then being able to have experiences to sing background for people like Kim Burrell or Karen Clark, those opportunities you have in a church surrounding, which creates a stronger knowledge of what it means to actually sing background, to sing on a mic, to have tone, intonation, all that stuff matters. And be able to let the mic do the work and not your voice do the work, right? And then I got serious. I did like a few spot dates for different type of gospel artists. And then when I moved to LA and I lived there for 2 years, and that was a crazy time for me. That's another story, but I was able to do a lot of auditioning. And I didn't get picked up. No, this is an LA story. I'm going to make it real short. I didn't get opportunities with, I'm not going to say their names either because I still present these people. So let me be careful how I talk. I didn't get jobs with the people who are extremely, extremely noticeable, right? Extremely out there because I physically didn't fit the call for what they're looking for. So I'm tall, I'm Black. I had long, long locks at the time. And I was not at a certain height as the other background singers who they're used to. And I also did not look like them with a clean cut. some feedback I would get was, oh, your hair is just too long. If you just cut it off, you definitely get the gig. I will always make it through rounds. But I got gigs for like people like Little Mo. I got gigs for Kelly Price, who opened up doors for me to sing background. I will say her name because Kelly Price was like the angel. I remember I did an audition. She was in the room. Then she invited me to Savoy Lounge in LA. Look at me remembering names. And then I did a live with her, and then she just introduced me to everybody. At that time, she was doing R&B Divas, and I was able to. Then the road just boom, and people heard about me, and I was able to live a really nice life.
That's so amazing. Honestly, that's just to go from a little boy and doing like some performing arts school, and then next thing you know, you're touring with these big name artists. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's amazing. So how has that affected your journey now with the arts, but also how, like, do you have any stories, like interesting stories you want to share, that you can share legally?
I can't share a lot of stuff. But that experience helped me in my programming because I not only know the audience point of view, I know the artist point of view, right? I know the stress that they go through to get into their hotels, how important a sound check is, how important the food is. And that's something that was always been strong with me. I cared about my artists because if they're good, my audience is good. And then the artists will want to come back and work with us again. So I always make sure that my artists are being taken care of. They come before production, anything. Whatever they want, they shall get so that we're able to get what we need from them. So I've learned that. That definitely is part of my motto. And something that I learned from Laura Kendall, who used to work at Omaha Performing Arts, but now she's somewhere else. I can't remember in my brain. But she always said, she said the artist, whatever the artist want, keep the artist happy. So that's one thing. And then I remember a performance with Miss Shaka Khan, and she's known to be like the fun auntie, if I can say that, if you hear what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But she was extremely religious. She wouldn't get on stage without like praying and giving it to God. And some artists prayed before, like Brian McKnight, of course he prayed, but some people, like, I'm calling names, don't mean to do that. At the end of the day, she was very religious, and I really like, regardless of what happened on stage, she was so sweet, so kind.
That's so beautiful. And it makes me wonder what the role your faith has had in your life, because I know like you've been a music director, and that's been like played a major role in who you are and your life now. So could you talk to me? Or no?
Are you speaking of my job? Are you speaking of like my roles in the church, or?
I just meant like, well, sure, you can expand on that, but I just mean, how has your faith, how have you led with your faith in your life, and how has it kind of shaped who you are?
Well, it's definitely shaped who I am all the way through my life. My granddaddy's a bishop. My mom preaches. Everybody's in church. That's just where I come from. And I grew up on the values. I grew up following the values. And when times get hard, the first person that I go to is not my boo. It's not my sister. It's not my mom. It's God. I go on my knees. Well, now I don't go on my knees, but I pray. Anybody got time for that? No, I'm joking.
You're not wrong.
But I pray and I seek guidance, and that has kept me going. And it also kept me level-minded throughout my journey. There has been times where I'm like, I'm all set on this Christian journey because ain't nothing working in my life. But, overall, I see what God's vision is for me. I'm very clear about what my calling is. These are all the things that I've been praying and asking God for. And now that I know it, I'm able to walk into my destiny. So faith for me is like everything. I may not go to church every Sunday, thanks to the pandemic. But I think that the church lives within you, and that relationship, on however it is, is how you need to operate. And that's how I operate with my relationship with God. So I'm a believer. I love him.
No, that's beautiful, especially what you said about just, it's not about external things and like going to people externally. When you're going through the hard time, it's about looking within, asking why, reaching out for your faith, and just like knowing that you'll be able to continue and be in your purpose because you've always got that no matter what. So, and I know that, like, speaking of the pandemic, that, you know, millions of people were impacted and layoffs, jobs, and especially the arts and entertainment, as you know, that industry, like concerts were canceled left and right. Broadway was shut down, like everything was shut down. And so that impacted so many people, yourself included. And so I just think of you and how you're like, you are that hustler. But I know that like the pandemic for a little bit forced you to kind of have to like rein it back a little bit, reflect and redirect. So what did that redirection process look like? And what was that like initial process like for you? Because I know that had to have been hard for you.
Well, when I got the word that I was being laid off of my job, I knew what the call was going to be about. I was already prepared. And I was just thinking like, boy, I just got out of a relationship. I just moved into this apartment and I got to pay these bills. I got a son. I got all these things I got to pay. And then when they set me down as the director of human resources, and it was my boss at the time. And they both, the director, my boss was teary-eyed. And the human resource director was crying. And they knew, before they even said anything, I said, it's okay.
Oh.
I said, I'll be okay. They was like, we just don't have, I said, I get it.
Yeah.
I said, it's bound to happen. We don't have no shows in this building. It was like, Malachi, if anything opens up, I promise you, like, and they stuck by their word too. When things started opening up, they contacted me. Not that I'm going to go back because I'm back. I'm on the East Coast, and I'm making a little bit more money. So, you know. But I appreciated that because they stuck true to their word. And it took me like 2 weeks to snap into hustler. I will not lie to you. I felt like trash. I did not know how to use state help. I didn't know anything about those things. So I cried and I prayed, and I also doubted God for being in my life. Why me? Oh, why me? And then I'm like, bruh, what's the problem? You can do websites, you can edit photos, you can help navigate people's careers. You have a full business that you're out here doing, and you can do hair. I ended up partnering with one of my friends, and we opened up a hair salon. And in the midst of the COVID-19, we had a hair salon, and that kept me afloat. I hate doing hair full time. I'm good at doing hair for a select few people because I know I'm really good at it. But at this point, I had to hustle. I had to make some money, despite the help I was getting from the state, which I'm really grateful for. Someone who signed some papers so that we were able to have some help during the pandemic. It really did help me out. And I was very smart about how I spent my money and how I paid my bills. And then I also was able to use different relief resources as well. And so nobody looking at me on like a social media or anything would know like I ain't got much. Because I also know how to work in the face of diversity, in diversity. So the pandemic was hard. It was hard, but when I got a hang of it, and once I was getting comfortable in the hair salon, which I didn't ever want to do, I was going to start giving more and more time in the hair salon. God allowed me with this opportunity to come to Connecticut. And it was at the perfect time before I gave up a bunch of money to really put into the salon. So it worked out.
Yeah. Oh, it worked out tenfold. I think, honestly, it's like a true testament to, we may think that we're on one journey and one path, and this is the way we're supposed to go. This is what we should be doing. But then, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, is like, nope, I need to redirect you. I'm trying to point you in this direction. That might mean some hard times for a little bit. That might mean you need to be resourceful for a little bit, but don't worry, I got you. The answer is in you. And you definitely showed that. The answer was in you the whole time. Like you said,
those skills are something that I use on my everyday basis now. You know, those resourceful skills, thinking outside the box. I just had a live festival of 10 days straight of programming, which was different for me because I'm used to having breaks. So from like 7 to like 2 o'clock in the morning, I am going and being more sourceful about when things go wrong and thinking outside the box to make things better. It was definitely what I needed to help lead me into the light. Now, as opportunity starts to provide itself, I'm able to also pull upon those stories, pull upon those histories, and make sure I'm able to really give back to a community that may not know how to be resourceful.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's really amazing that with mentorship has been like a really big part of your life. And recently you joined the board for, and were part of the founding members of Bala. And I would love if you could, kind of just like talk us through that and what that has been like for you, as well as your work as with youth and mentoring youth as well.
Okay, yeah, Bala has been a blessing. I remember when Janine came to all of us, you included, and just was talking about, making a change in arts leadership and arts administration and giving resources to people where to find African-American people to put in these places to start making changes. And it's great. We're still developing how we're going to operate. We're still developing how we're going to outreach, but we have been able to do a lot of trainings for ourselves. And as well as start to really develop a great curriculum to give back to arts organizations, people who are independent artists, people who are seeking trainings in diversity. All these things we're doing the trainings, so we're able to really create a great curriculum to start giving back. And I think by the end of this year, I think the world's really going to see how Bala is doing their thing. And it's not an Omaha thing, it's spreaded. All of us are all over the United States of America. Some of us are in New Orleans, some of us are in New York, Connecticut. We're all over. And the beautiful thing about it is that we're able to still come together and figure out places and things to do to help benefit organizations that may not know how to be diverse or may not know how to be inclusive, that may not know where to find African-American art people in the arts to work at their places. So definitely excited for what we have in store. And my mentorship, somebody mentored me. Plenty of people mentored me. And it's not fair for me to continue to grow and not give back. And so I often lend my knowledge, my services, and my heart to people who are serious about actually changing atmospheres. And so I consider myself somebody who loves and enjoys mentoring people who are younger than I, right? Because my mentors are older and I still call them till today. I have a few people who I feel like became brothers. Jordan is one of them who I absolutely love and I will always look out for. And then I have another one, Marcel. I keep them together and they know they can call me whether it's $3 or I don't know how to fill out this application or write this cover letter. That's what I'm here for. And I believe as long as I continue to do those things, more things will come my way. So I'm able to continue to give back and back. And also as leaders, I think that when you get on a certain platform, it's good to continue to pull people up there with you. If you see a spark, if you see some talent, don't be afraid to say, listen, you don't have it all together, but let me tell you what you can do to get it together, because I didn't have it together. I still don't. Okay? Hello, I still don't have it together. But if I can share some knowledge with people and they actually want to receive it and take heed to it, then that's what I'm always going to do.
Yeah, I think that it's so important, like you were saying, to give back in that way, especially because it's like, you're climbing your way up, might as well do what you can to pull those, I don't want to say beneath you, because I like to think that we're
beneath you.
Both things, we're all like here together, but just someone in a different place than you who wants to work their way up. I think it's amazing to be able to help in that way.
And I remember I had an interview with someone. I said, well, where do you want to be in this field? And she was being very, very, I just want to, make an impact. I said, would you want to take my job? And she said, oh. I said, would you want to take my job? Like, would you want to do what I'm doing? And she said, honestly, yes. I said, well, that's what you need to say when you do interviews. When somebody asks you what you want to do, I would love to be you one day. How do I get there? Teach me the ropes. I remember when I first got a job working in the business side of entertainment, that was the question. What do you see yourself? I see myself in your shoes, and I would love to take your job when you're done. How do I get there? When I first met Joan, what do you want to do? Oh, I would love to take your job. Because I do want to one day be an executive director. Yeah. And if that's what I want to do, now you know that you can start molding me in that direction. Give me the tools that I need to be an executive director. I'm not there yet, but I'm moving up, right? And so that's all. That's it. Give the tools, man. And for those who want to be mentored, say it like it is. Yes, I want to take over. Yes, I want to be on top. Because if your heart is right and you want to give back to the community who may not have the opportunity to get to where you're at until you're in leadership, keep on pressing.
Oh, yeah. I think that literally gives me chills, just how like direct you are and, dare I say, bold. Because honestly, a lot of people, they're very timid about like, oh, I mean, yeah, like I want to do. But if you really talk to them, like if they were talking to like their homeboys and their homegirls, they'd be like, yo, this is what I want to do. So it's like you have to come with that same energy, especially to the people that are in a place where they could pull you up like that. So what advice would you give to people, or what kind of tools would you say can help people so they can be more like clear and direct and just be more authentic in the way they lead their life?
Know your resume without looking at your resume. Know things that are not on your resume and speak to those things. Not only that, be confident in who you are. Remember, you have the interview. You have this opportunity to be on stage. You have this opportunity to travel. You're needed. Even if you don't get it, the position in whatever field, part of entertainment you are still needed. When you go in with that attitude, not being arrogant, because I hate arrogant, or conceited, but just knowing that you're needed and that you have the right to gloat about how good you are. And you have the right to share what it is that you want from this position and how it's going to help benefit your track as anybody who's in the art. You know what I'm saying? So for me, whenever I go into any place, I may be I know I'm a creative dude. I think outside the box. I know that there's nobody on your staff like me. Why? Because I'm Malakhi Eason, Dr. Creative. There's nobody like me. So when I go and say that, I mean that. You'll never find nobody like me, right? Before or after me, I'm still Malakhi. And so coming with those things to the board, and I work on the top. I know my strengths. I'm good at problem solving. I'm good at creating experiences. I'm good at relationship building. I'm good at speaking. I'm good at being on stage. I'm good at having connections. With those things. Know what you're good at, baby, and say it. Yeah. They want to hear that because now they trust you with their organization. They trust you with being on tour. They trust you with doing their hair. They trust you with styling them because they feel like they can't ask you no questions. You're the expert and they're not. Yeah.
It's so clear that you have such an understanding and connection with who you are. And I think that is so important. I think that a lot of times we get like lost in what society feels like we should be, or our parents, or just everyone around us. Yeah. And so I think it's really important that you know who you are. So when you step out into the world, you can say, just like you just said, this is who I am, point blank, period. Like, this is how I'm showing up. So I guess what would you say for people that are really struggling to find out who am I? Because some people are still in that stage of like really finding their voice.
Yeah.
So, and it seems like for you, I don't want to, maybe you haven't always, but it seems like you have a very firm understanding of yourself. So where does that come from?
Ooh, it came from trial and error, right? I haven't always been confident. I dealt with, self-esteem issues, not being accepted, not being the best at this, whatever. But one thing that kept me going that I think built me is that I always seeked help, whether it was from my mom or my friend, I was seeking it from God. I always seeked help on how to do better. And over the years, I really looked at what I've done. Like sometimes you do a bunch, like Mary, you've done a lot. And when you look back and you start talking like, well, God damn, I didn't know I did all that,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you something like, yo, and I just started walking into who I am, maybe in the last 4 years, right? And I'm still growing. Like I just had a revelation last week. This is a part of you as well. But I think a person that seeks knowledge and seeks information, seeks the ability to transform and change constantly, those are the people who absolutely know who they are because they know that they're not perfect. They know that they're not going to stay the same. This week, I may be extroverted Malachi and everything is blah, 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 blah. And then a revelation may come and I may learn like, Malachi, this is who you are, but you may need to tone it down some. This is going to help you get to this next level. I can constantly learn. I don't know if that's going to be reality because I'm like a definition of extrovert. But whatever comes my way, and I think that it's going to help guide me, I continue to evolve. And I tell people like, you cannot be afraid to change. You staying the same, it's not going to help you become that person who stays at the job for 30 years and stays in the same position. If that's what you want, then baby girl, baby boy, live your life. I refuse to be at some place for 30 years and not own that place. You get what I'm saying? And then not everybody is supposed to be like me. Everybody's not supposed to have those aspirations to go to the next level. It's okay if you're comfortable working a 9 to 5, going home with your children and your husband and whatever the case is. If you are in the entertainment business, if you are trying to change atmospheres, then you have to also be able to change as an individual and be open to seeing who you are and looking inside out. And that also comes through therapy. Hello, that helps. Sometimes it's just talking all your everyday dreams and aspirations to that person and them actually narrowing that crap down for you and giving you realization, you know what? I am bomb. I am popping. Shit, I look good. My skin look good. This ain't no filter. Like all that stuff matters, and so you have to be able to sow into yourself and be able to change in order to have, I don't want to sound what I have, but just to have a little bit more confidence. And it's a process because you're not built with it. I don't think. I think it comes through experiences that you build confidence.
100%. Like it's so powerful what you can do in that process of, like you said, an evolution. And as long as you are someone who is always striving for better and working towards that next thing for whatever it is for yourself, I think that is so important. But also what you said about just even bringing up therapy, something that I've realized recently is not just therapy, that it's important, to one-on-one talk with a professional, but also having what I call self-therapy in the sense of therapy is only going to do as well as what work you're able to put in. You could go to therapy day in and day out, and your therapist can, you can tell them about your life and your therapist can tell you exactly what to do. But if you don't do it, because I know I've done that before where I went to therapy and they're like, here's some worksheets. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can find that on Google. But really, maybe I didn't need the worksheet specifically, but it had information but I needed to be in that place to be able to receive that guidance and to be able to look into myself and be like, okay, yes, this is what we can do to flip the script.
Hello. Yeah, my master's, I took a lot of classes in like relationship therapy, relationship counseling, and I really thought I was going to be like a relationship counselor. You know, I love talking about love. And one thing I realized, like those little small packets that they give you, those worksheets, you would think, oh, this is child's play. I don't need to do this and fill this out and do this activity. They do something transformative in your mind. You taking the time to even fill it out, that's the change that you need. Mm-hmm. And you never expect it. You never expect it. So you're right. You're right. I do think that there's a meaning and a benefit to going to therapy. In my community, the Black community, I'm speaking for the Black community in Massachusetts, in Boston, not for every Black community. But when I was raised, right, from where I was raised, we didn't do therapy. You don't need to talk to nobody about your problems. Talk to God. You know, that's always what it was. But I realized as I got older, and I'm happy that people are no longer ignorant to it. Everybody in my family seeks therapy, and not everybody's going through things. They just need a person to talk to and trust. So.
Yeah, I think that it's so transformative what can happen once you get out of your head. Because it's so true what you said about how like there's such a stigma with therapy. I mean, it's getting better, but even now there's still people that are that same, like, yeah, just talk to God, like prayer up.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't pray, whatever you believe, but still, it's important to do the actual work, the journaling, the asking yourself questions and changing your mentality. So I think that's amazing. Also, what you were in relationship, learning about like relationship and like all that stuff. Well, man, if you aren't like a quadruple million threat, I don't know.
That was my thing. Only thing that made me not get that degree, because I took so many classes in it, was the fact that I had to do clinical hours at a hospital for like 2 years. That was not happening. I was not there. I was like, yep, nope. I got the knowledge I need. If my friends need me for anything, then I will be there to give them all the tools that I have in my toolbox. And I always, even when I was doing Dr. Creative, Conversation with Dr. Creative, majority of my shows had to do with relationships and thoughts and opinions on certain things. Like, if you do this, like, what do you think about that? And I'm able to call upon that knowledge that I got from Grace University during my master's. So, and I think it's important to call out the things that you do, the institutions and the people that helped you out throughout the way, because those people get that back as well. So you will constantly hear me talk about the schools, high school, whatever school I went to, whatever person helped me out, I'll call their names out.
No, that's awesome. Because a lot of times people are like, they almost forget about the people and the places. Like, oh no, we here now.
Yep. No, I'm not.
Here.
I pray to God I never get that arrogant or a point where I forget about my friends or forget about people who held me down in my darkest hours. School and relationships and work are some of the most depressing areas in people's lives. Mm-hmm. And for me, I had low parts throughout my life. And it wasn't for my friends from back home in Boston, if it wasn't for my sister and my mom and people like that, like I would have never made it through. So I can never forget about them. And those are the most consistent friends that I have. So absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta show tribute to the people that have got you where you are today. And of relationships, I know that recently, along with moving across country, I don't know if people know exactly where Omaha, Nebraska is, but you were in Omaha, now you're in the East Coast. Went from the Midwest all the way to Connecticut. What's you can't.
How does she jump up on me like, girl, it's not that serious. Chill out.
The cat you're allergic to?
Right. She's like, get off me.
You're so gracious and generous.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's all good. But along with being able to move and redirect and just be on this whole new path, like cross country, and getting this whole new job and having all these opportunities, you also are in a space where you are now, much, much closer with your son. And so having a son myself, and right now I know it's not at all the same magnitude or the same thing, but I just have him away for the summer. So I can't imagine what it was like being away from him like that. So what was that like to to like, what were the challenges in being away from him in that way? And then now how has your relationship evolved since being able to be closer?
Okay. I didn't know where he was going with that question. I was like, oh, wow. I got to talk about relationships, talk about my own self. You know, I'm talking about me, I talk about other people. I don't get that deep, but I always talk about my son because I'm a proud father of a 14-year-old boy named Malachi who goes by the name Sir Mally. He is my heart. He is a split image of me. He is completely opposite of me, which is very awkward. That must come from his mom. And he keeps me going. Everything that I do, whether it's school, work, or whatever, I keep him in mind because I know that everything I got now will one day be his. And that's something that I can't say about my father, right? I know that when that guy dies, all I'm going to get is a bill. But from when I pass away, I want my son not to worry about anything. I want him to know that when I'm gone, and my grandkids and whoever I'm married to know that they're set. I'm still there. I'm still there supporting. So he's my boo. I still kiss him. He's my everything. It was hard when I first moved to LA to father. I'll keep it real. His mom did a great job being a mom. I would never speak ill of her, despite of whatever we went through. She's a great mom. She did a great job raising my baby. She did what I couldn't do, and that's be there every freaking day. Every day. Yeah. And I was there every other weekend at some points. I was there during the holidays. I was there maybe every 2 months. Our schedules have changed so much. When I moved to Omaha, it got a little easier because he lived with me twice out of my stay of the 8 years I've been there. So it was cool to really have those bonding moments. The beautiful part about being back on the East Coast is that I'm only an hour and 45 minutes away from my baby.
Love that.
I can see him. He can call me like, Daddy, am I going to hop on the Greyhound or are you going to come get me? And I'm like, I ain't coming to pick you up. Hop on that Greyhound. You were 14 years old. I ain't doing nothing. And I love that I can do that now because he's 14. But we've always had a relationship. Even through it all, I'll talk to him, make him laugh. I'm a goofy dad. I'm not one of them extra serious types. I think I'm the dad that I've always wanted to have.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm able to be more of a dad that I always wanted to have now that I'm closer. And I don't care what men say, oh, FaceTime, and I'm always with my son because I talk. That don't mean nothing. You're not there. You're not there Monday through Friday, waking him up for school, and making him wash his private parts, and making him brush his teeth and get dressed and match. And these things matter. I know because he lived with me plenty of times, you know.
I have a 7-year-old son. I know.
So you already know, forcing him to do things that to us come naturally. Mm-hmm. But I can't imagine, you know, what his mom had to go through, like all the years teaching him these things, you know. And so I always give honor to when honor is due, and she has done her job on my son. She didn't do nothing else. She did a job on my son. And I'm very grateful for her and her dedication to his education because she's definitely smarter than me. So I know all his smarts comes from her. And I remember there was a time where she used to review my papers in college. That's how smart she was. I used to get A's because of her. And hello, you was one of those two.
I mean, I was helping.
All right. You was helping out. Right. And, so it's a blessing to be back on the East Coast and be able to be way more close to my baby. So that transition has been dope for me. That has been the saving grace for me. Mentally or feeling alone, I can call my son or drive to Boston like I'm doing tomorrow. To just sit down and push him around and kiss on him and then push him again and then bring him to eat, then push him again. And that's just how we operate. That's our relationship.
That's so beautiful. I love
my baby.
Thing to you about like how I don't know, just the fact that you're back and not, I don't want to say back, but just the fact that, you know, you guys are in like much closer proximity. So how does he like adjusted to it? And I guess what
he was so happy that I'm back. He was going to live with me, but then me and his mother decided for him to stay only because he got accepted to my high school, Boston Arts Academy. And so he's following in my footsteps, except he's not using his singing gifts or his dancing gifts. He's using his artist gift. So, visual arts, whatever, you're still at the school.
Hey, it's
I was bad. I was like, you could have
been
been up here singing. Like, he was like, I don't want to be anything like you, Dad. You're everybody knows who you are in Boston. I don't want to be compared to you. We already have the same name, Dad. Okay.
And you look just alike. Like,
yeah, we do.
For sure.
You walk into the school, it was like, you're Malakhi's son. You have to relate to Malakhi. You look just like he looked when he came to it was like that. I was so embarrassed. Like, all the teachers who taught you still are there. I was like, I know. I know.
That's such a full circle moment.
I know, it's so cool. So we're gonna, we work out our weekends and work out our holidays and stuff like that. So, and I'm able to go home if he can't come here, I can go and get him. He's 14. I don't have to communicate with nobody but him.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's it. Shoot, my son is already texting me through Facebook Messenger.
Hello.
Yes, it's wild these days how advanced kids are. But what would you say are, just because, like you said, while he was growing up, his mom was teaching him about all of the little things that come with, whether it's learning and social situations. So for you, what is it that you hope to instill in him, and just what you hope for him as he gets older?
Ooh, work ethic. It's important that he gets that now. He's currently working an art program in the summer, his first job ever, working for the state of Massachusetts. Downtown, I'm smiling because I'm so happy he has a job the same age that I had a job when I was 14. And he's working, he's making really good money. I don't know what he's going to do with it, but he's making really good money. And I want him to continue that. I want to focus on his school, but I need him to have like a side hustle, whether it's drawing people's tattoos or doing murals or whatever the case is. I need him to continue to work because that's going to get him through college. I told him all the time, when you get to college, I'm no longer your bank. You have to learn how to work. You have to work and be able to take care of yourself. I'm going to take care of your car note, your insurance, and make sure your school bills are taken care of. I'm not sending you extra money for food. I'm not sending you extra money for clothes. Any of those things like I had to do, you're going to have to do. And you're also not going to stay in the state of Massachusetts or Connecticut. You will be going out of town so you can learn this sense of independence. And so when I speak to him, I always speak like, you're no longer a baby. I'm not going to have to tell you to wash these dishes. I'm not going to tell you to fix your bed in the morning. You would not be a messy man. Your wife would not be upset with you because you don't know how to do the laundry. You're going to be doing everything on your own, independent, and add to the household. Whether it's whatever he wants to decide to be, whether it's whatever. I don't care what it is, but you would not be relying on anybody. You will always be a provider. My mom has raised her boys to be providers. I'm raising my boy to be the same.
Yeah, that independence, man, I wholeheartedly agree. That is so essential to because some people, they just don't know what to do with themselves when they get out into the real world. And like you were saying, you had a job since you said 14, 15. Yep. And 14. Yes, when I first got my first job, and I have literally been working for 15
Non-stop.
But it's so much about, like you said, work ethic and time management and just dependability. And I think the biggest thing is you grow a confidence within yourself that you can do anything and that you don't need anybody. Yes, you might need them in the sense of certain things, but generally speaking, you can do things yourself.
Mary, it felt so good. I was about to call you Mary K. Blige, but anyway.
All day.
Hello. Mary K. Blige. It felt good saying, Ma, can I go to the movies? Do you have money? Yes. Are you bringing this girl out? Are you taking care of her? Yes, I am. So my mom wouldn't let any of my siblings go out unless they had their own money. And that's what we all worked. And so for me, I want my son to have that same thing. I want him to be like, Dad, can I go to movies? Absolutely. How are you getting there? Hop on that bus. I remember one time, a quick story, and then I'll stop. I remember one time I went to movies. I brought this girl out. It was my first girlfriend. I would not say her name because she's very established and she's married, has a baby. But anyway, She's beautiful, by the way.
I believe it.
Yes, I brought her to the movies in Copley Mall at the time when they had a theater in the mall, and I got home extremely late. And she was telling me like, make sure you get home in enough time. So it was raining, it was storming, and because what I used to do, I used to take the train to the place, and then train back with my girlfriend. Take the bus to her house with her, wait on the bus, come back, and then go home. So I needed her to be safe. That's always how whoever I date, when I didn't have a car, I would go with them home, come back. And so it was like 11:30 and the last bus, I just missed it. And it was raining. My mom was like, well, I'm in the bed. I'm not coming to get you. You decided to go out, find your way home. Mm-hmm. I wasn't mad at her because that was her telling me I need to be resourceful. And do you know what? I found my way home, didn't I? I had to walk in the rain, but I found my way home. And it was a lesson for me. The next time we go to the movie, we need to go around 5 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon so I'm able to get you home and come back so I won't miss my last bus. So I need him to have those experiences.
Oh, yeah. Because a lot of times people are trying to keep their kids in a bubble in this like safe place.
Oh, let them fall. Let them get a scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Have them put a Band-Aid on their damn selves. Mm-hmm. Stop being so, we're raising... Some people are, I don't want to get too political. I know this is your platform, but a lot of people are raising very light people, not strong enough to face the storm. And it's not going to be beneficial for them in the order. They have to fall. They have to ride the bike and you let go.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to get that scratch or that broken leg, baby. They need that. It's a learning environment. My son, I never babied him. No. Oh, you crying? Okay, that's nice. Why are you crying? Because I'm not going to give you the attention you need right now. You are 4 years old. Get your life together. Go sit down.
I will say I have like a balance to mine because
I'm joking with you. I'm being dramatic. But
I know you are.
Can you imagine? Stop crying.
Like, hold on. That's not where I was trying to go. No,
oh God, this hair is killing me.
You're right. It's important that at the end of the day, like, honey, I have scars. I could count the number of literal scars that I have, along with internal scars, and but that just has formed me into the person that I am today, and I can take the weather and the storm, and I got a Band-Aid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am ready to go. And I think that, having that instilled in your kids.
And there's a way to help without being seen. My son, I've seen him being about to fall, but I'll curate a way of having him have that experience while being safe. Yeah. So it's also thinking about like he needs that experience to fall off those skates. But I'm gonna make sure when he falls that it's in a place that is gonna be soft enough for him to get back up.
Yeah, it's more like a guide, like a shepherding of sorts.
And he would never know that I was behind any of that stuff that I may have looked out for, but he learned a lesson from it.
Little Mally.
Little Mally.
Well, I don't want to, keep you on here too much longer, but I loved having you here, and I always love your company. You just have this like energy about you that's just like very magnetic, and it's just a joy to be able to talk with you and to have you take this time out. But I would love to hear from you if you have like any upcoming projects that you got going. I heard you were working on some music recently, a little EP going on, something like that. I mean, just like a little.
You be doing too much stuff, yo. It be aggravating.
Research is my work.
Right. You're aggravated. Music coming out, brother guy. Thanks, Mary. Yeah. I already have new stuff. Right. Well, I haven't really. I put out a work of art. It's an EP, and it's called. It's dang! How can I forget? That's because I don't even think about it. Sorry is what it's called, and I'm sorry, it's called I Promise. Dang, I need to be
Sorry,
better.
it's called.
Because there's a song on there called Sorry, and it originally was Sorry.
Got it.
I've never talked about my EP. That's why it's my first time I really have to have my story together. So the name of the album is called I Promise, which is the title track, which is featuring my son, Sir Mally. So that song of us together singing on the song is like my favorite song. And the song talks about me making him give a encouraging words for him when it comes to like dating and knowing his worth. And so it's me telling him to promise himself not to take no junk, to always know that his worth, and to always give his best foot forward. And it's underneath Dr. Creative, which is probably why people would never find it, which I'm surprised you did. And it was produced by a guy named Joshua Crum, who goes by J. Crum, who's also a rapper. He's a great producer. It was so much fun to do that process. It was my breakup album.
Oh.
So I was able to get all my frustration and hurt all out in these 7 songs, and then reconnect with whoever is next for me in my life. So yeah, hopefully if you guys want to go check it out, just Google Dr. Creative. I'm sure it's going to pop up like probably Mary did. And it's on all platforms, and just share if you want to. You don't have to. It's not about making money for me. It was just about getting that off of my mind, off my heart, so I'm able to walk forward. And so that's why I don't advertise it. But it's there. I look cute on the cover.
That shows that it's just like a passion, because I know it's the same for me. A lot of times when I'm creating or like when I'm making music, I'm not thinking about, okay, what's the marketing plan and what's the I'm doing it because I love to do it, and because it's like it's literally like a journal, a diary to everything that's going on in your head and your heart. And I really like that you kind of tied the two together, where it's like, here's the heartbreak, but then you're going through this journey of like, but there's something on the other side of that.
It's a straight story. It goes from the heartbreak inside a relationship, the breakup, from the breakup to the craziness you go through in your mind, like, I hate you guys. But then, it's like when my son's song come up, I Promise, it's like I release all that stuff and I'm just focused on what matters to me, which is my relationship with my son. What matters to me is the fact that I have goals I need to reach, and none of that time wasted is going to affect what's in my future, right? And so it goes in talking about meeting and dating people who are just beautiful, and then going into wanting to have marriage, and then saying I'm sorry to God. Because during that process, I put up a middle finger to him, and I was over it. I was like, whatever. But after I realized why I went through what I went through, I had to apologize, and I had to make it known that I was sorry for my action. I apologize for not believing in you and not seeing your vision. And I'm sorry. That's what it was. That's why I got to mix up. I'm sorry for not, but it's not a gospel album.
Yeah.
Even that song don't even sound like a gospel song. It's just, I'm speaking about something, and then at the end I say Jesus. But it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool work, and it features some nice people. My son, another lady named Fantasia Gates Colbert, who's from Nebraska, and it's good stuff.
I already know that if it's you and you got Mally in there, that it's amazing. And also, like you said, just the story that it tells. Who can't relate to a heartbreak and those moments when you're just like questioning your faith, or maybe not even questioning, maybe just altogether ignoring it.
COVID didn't help it out. I was really like, I'm done. They're like, you want to go to this little? I was like, no, I'm good. I don't want to be online. Nope, I'm good. I'm straight. I'm set. Nope.
It's like in your greatest challenges, that's when you are fighting it all the most. That's when you're like, no thanks. I don't need it in my life. I don't.
Save that for yourself, baby. That's how I was. You and go ahead. I'm good.
What got you out of that?
Therapy. Honestly, therapy, and then hearing somebody who didn't know me tell me that you are worth it. You are powerful. Oh my God, you have so much talent to give to the world. And I didn't know this woman from a can of paint. And I just shared with her certain things, and she was just like, I'm not gonna lie, I Googled you, Malakhi. She's like, you have so much to live for. What are you worried about? And I think when she said that, something clicked. I went back to my workout journey. And I just started living my life, even in the midst of the storm. I stopped thinking about, well, what am I going to do? I'm in this place. I don't have no family here. I came here for this and da 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 da. And I was just like, you know what? I have family here. I have friends that I made from work, friends I made from church, people who are constantly asking about me, people who are constantly like, let's go hang out. Like, what am I complaining about? Make the best of this. And I did. And it really made a difference in my life. It made a difference. I came out of it on the other side stronger.
I'm so glad that you're like, I can just see this like glow. Like you've always had this glow about you, but like, honey, this glow that I'm seeing right now, I can see that like you've been through a lot this last year, but that you're definitely in a much better place from all of it. And it's so wonderful to see you in this place.
Are you going too, Mary?
I mean, I tried.
Oh, and it's not just the Browns. I don't even think you got none on, but
not today.
Right.
In the Las Vegas
to the gods, but you look amazing. You look extremely happy. I'm so happy for your accomplishments. The move that you made out there, baby. I was just so happy for you. You needed it. You look like you needed it, and it's doing it, and you're wearing it well. You are wearing it well. I'm happy for your surroundings, your partnerships, and your goals. I'm happy to be a part of your first show. Like I'm just so. That means you gotta call me back.
Of course.
More. Okay, don't be just
right now.
Hello, call me back so we can talk some more.
Well, I'm gonna call you back in a month. No, I'm saying let's do.
I got some girl. I need some time.
Weekly, monthly. You know what I'm saying? Little brunch type.
I told you a long time ago I wanted to do a podcast with you, but whatever. We won't go there.
I mean, hey, if you want to bring Dr. Creative back, I am here for it. Okay.
I had to put that to rest, child. It was so much work, and with this new job. But you know what's going to be great? I am definitely going to start a podcast with a woman named Kayon Kiss and a guy named Miss Corey Parker. Miss Parker. There's three of us, and we have already recorded a few episodes. We're just going to put them out every week, but we're going to record some up front.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great. It's called Auntie and Uncle.
Okay.
And we just operate as auntie and uncles, and we're in there talking junk and talking about relevant topics that people go through. Both of them are part of the LGBTQ community, as well as I hate when I do that. I do that, and I'm so professional to the point where I forget
who I am.
Right. Because I'm also not used to talking about that stuff. But anyway, so it's going to have a great spin on it. And I have experience with both sides of the rope, so I'm able to speak to different parts of life, and so it's gonna be great. But it's not about plugging that; it's about supporting you, and I'm really, really happy for you. So happy. Okay.
Thank you, boo. I really can't wait to see like everything. I mean, you were already manifested so much, but I can't wait to see the rest of what you got to bring. Because I'm waiting for the CEO. I already know it's here, it's coming.
Well, Mary, if you need a job when I get that position, even if it's remote, whatever it is, I mean,
then I hope I'm a CEO. But if not,
hello. How about this? Let's forget about hiring each other. How about we take CEO trips, honey? When you get that CEO and I get that CEO, our first trip got to be off the chain. Do you hear me? Overseas, full luxury, all white interior in our rooms and our suites, honey, with a tub inside and a view that's not to be matched. Do you hear me?
That's right. Gonna hit up the Maldives, Fiji,
hello,
Hawaii,
all the E's.
Always end up with E's. You ever notice that?
E. Bitch, we going everywhere, okay? We going on tour.
Gosh, I'm crying. I literally can't see. This is what we talk for. This is well, I'm gonna for real this time wrap it up because I know you got life to live. I got
homework to do.
But just one last thing. If you could leave us with any, like your number one advice or your life philosophy that you would just want to leave?
Live without being scared and live openly. One thing I was good at and the other thing I was not. Once I got the other thing, I realized that other things opened up for me. Live without being scared. Attack those demons. If you have to be a Ghostbuster, have that little thing on your back and suck those bad boys up. Don't be scared. And live openly. Don't compress or suppress who you are as an individual. If you're a creative who loves their hair to be blue, wear that blue hair, baby. If you're somebody who likes to wear baggy clothes, wear your baggy clothes. If you're straight and you're proud, if you're bisexual and you're proud, if you're gay and you're proud, be those things and be those things to the best of your ability and live those things out loud. Because that is less stress you have to worry about because there's so many other stresses that's going to happen. But when you have those two things together, you have a formula that creates nothing but success.
Thanks so much for tuning into StoryVerse. Please be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and don't forget to become a member of our Patreon where you will get exclusive content, including our StoryVerse after party. Also, please feel free to share with your friends and family. We love to see our community of storytellers and creatives blossom and grow. So with that being said, see you next time.